It's the first day of fall and I am making a pumpkin pie spice syrup, perfect for my coffee, and tonight for dinner we are having gumbo. I am Rebekah with Learning Together by Grace. Y'all, let's go. So we are starting this video off by making that pumpkin pie spice syrup. Why not? It is so perfect for fall. So essentially I am creating a simple syrup as my base, and it's basically 1 part water to 1 part sugar. I'm choosing to use brown sugar for this, but you can use cane sugar, table sugar, whatever sugar that you so desire. You could even use honey or syrup. So I did 1 cup of water and 1 cup of brown sugar, and I'm just stirring that in just to get it to begin dissolving. Next up, I'm going in with some pumpkin puree. Y'all, yes, the real deal. We are doing this. I made a little oopsie there, but that's all right. I kept going. So this was 1/4 cup of pumpkin puree that I added to my pot. And then I'm just going to stir that just to get those clumps out of the simple syrup, because we don't want that. All right, next up, I am going to add in my pumpkin pie spice. I did 1 teaspoon of that, and then I'm going to mix that as well. And now, you guys, I am going in with 1/4 teaspoon of pink salt. I always use salt with my sweet dishes because I feel like it helps to mellow out the flavor. And my secret ingredient here to help with crystallization so that it doesn't crystallize is cream of tartar. I did 1/4 teaspoon of that, and I'm just mixing all of this together. And so I'm turning my saucepan on low so that it can simmer, and I'm coming in and stirring it occasionally. And so I did this for 15 minutes, and this is what you are looking like. If you can tell, the bottom of the pan has kind of like a thicker sauce to it. This is perfect. You could also boil it briefly, but I wouldn't boil it that long, and I would watch it as you're doing this and make sure that it starts to thicken up. So I set it to the side and allowed it to cool down. And now I'm using a 1/2 pint mason jar and filling it up with that sauce. So this left just a little bit of that pumpkin pie sauce back, but it was enough again to fill up this 1/2 pint jar. And now I'm just going to write pumpkin pie spice syrup on there and make sure that my family doesn't get it confused with those apple preserves that I made. All right, I'm just going to go ahead and make myself a cup of coffee using some warm cream. I'm using my frother to mix it all together. Now, I will have this recipe on my blog so that you guys know how to put it together. You guys, it was really good. It's really worth it, and it didn't take long. It wasn't much effort to make this. So I'm going to actually sweeten my coffee with this syrup today. Usually I'll put something like honey or maple syrup or maybe even a little bit of sugar in, but I decided to use the pumpkin pie syrup. All right, next up we are going in with some whipping cream. I actually made this in my blender. I used the small cup attachment, and I literally did it for like 20-30 seconds and it was done. Now, to end this coffee, I of course am going to top it with that pumpkin pie syrup. Do you see how thick it's gotten? And as the time goes along, it will continue to get thicker. What do you guys think about this? Is it looking good to you? Is this something that you would try? Leave me a comment below and let me know if this is something you've done before or if this is something that you would want to do. All right, so to end this yummy goodness, I'm adding just a little bit of pumpkin pie spice to the top of my coffee, and this is what it looks like. And you guys, of course, I had to try it for you, and here's my, yeah, that's my reaction. It was really good. I was like, move out of the way, Starbucks. Move out of the way, Dunkin' Donuts. And we served it with these bread machine cinnamon and apple rolls. I am going to make a video of this next week, so come back to see that bread machine recipe. Now we are going to begin our gumbo for the evening, and I'm actually going to do it in the Instant Pot. I've only made gumbo once before, and I did it over the stove. But I was like, let me try with my Instant Pot and see how it works. So I'm just searing it on both sides, and then I'm going in with those seasonings. Unfortunately, I did not get the full recording of me seasoning the chicken, but you'll see how I season it once I show you the shrimp. I'm just going to cook this on the poultry setting for 5 minutes. So these are the seasonings that I did on my chicken as well. It was paprika, and then we have garlic powder. I'm using some cayenne pepper. I'm also using some dried oregano from my garden. I like to just take those leaves and rub them between my hands, and it makes a little fine ground. And I'll just sprinkle that on top of the shrimp there. Next up, we're adding in some black pepper, and then lastly, some of my pink Himalayan salt. And so I'm going to give that a quick stir to make sure that every piece is covered with seasoning. With Cajun or Creole dishes, they season their food very well. So I was being very heavy-handed with my seasonings. I made sure that I didn't oversalt everything. All right, so now what I'm doing is removing the chicken from my Instant Pot, and I'm just going to set it to the side because I want it to cool so that I can debone it later. Now, using the drippings that are inside of my Instant Pot from cooking my chicken, I'm adding my shrimp, and I'm just going to cook it in there, and it only takes like a couple of minutes. I have it on the saute function so that it can do its thing. All right, so I'm setting that shrimp to the side as well. And then I'm going to get started on my sausage. So the recipes that I researched, they all call for andouille sausage. However, my supermarkets, I've just not seen them around here. I don't know if it's something that I would need to get from a specialty market or what have you. But instead, I just used these smoked sausages, and it worked out perfectly fine for me. So I'm just cutting those up. And then I'm going to cook those as well. You can cook them in the Instant Pot or over your stove, however you desire. And now I'm just going in and deboning that chicken, removing the skins, and then it is time to move on to our vegetables. So as I was doing research on different recipes, I saw that bell pepper is a very important part of gumbo, as well as a big stalk of celery. Also, I'm using 3 cloves of garlic. The recipe that I saw that I kind of landed on, it called for 2, but I figured the more garlic, the better, so I did 3. You also need a whole onion. And then I'm just using some of the thyme as well as the oregano from my garden. I clipped this right before I started chopping up my vegetables. And you guys, this is okra from my garden. I'm so excited about this. I get excited whenever I get to use anything from my garden. So after chopping all of that up, I am using the drippings from my meat to actually cook my vegetables. And I'm just stirring all of that together. Now, I did add a few more of those seasonings, but again, I just lost a few clips, so this is what I have for you. I'm removing it and adding it to a bowl and then starting my roux. This was another clip that I lost of me actually doing my roux. So it was equal parts fat to equal parts flour. And I just mixed that together and added a little bit of water. But then I decided to go on and add my bone broth into my Instant Pot, cover it and allow it to simmer. So I did all of that on my saute function. All right, so now I'm just adding in those vegetables that were cooked. And I'm, of course, going to taste it because I want to make sure that the seasonings are coming through, and which they were not coming through like I wanted them to. So I went on ahead and added those exact same seasonings from before with the chicken as well as with the shrimp. And you guys, once I did that, I just mixed it all together. And then I added in some more of the bone broth. So bone broth is another main ingredient for gumbo. Gumbo is more like a soup or a stew, and you want to make sure that you have enough broth. So I'm just going to cook this on the pressure cook function for 10 minutes. Once it's done, I'm just adding in all of my meats, and then I'm just going to stir just to make sure that they get evenly distributed. And you guys, I'm adding in some more of my fresh oregano from my garden and just sprinkling that on. And lastly, I'm adding 2 bay leaves, and I'm going to pressure cook this one last time for 5 minutes. Each time I did do the quick release. And so here I am plating it up. I made grits instead of rice. I saw that in a magazine a few years back, and that's how I made it, with grits instead of rice. But of course you can use rice. I put some cheese in it as well, and this is the final result. You guys, it was so delicious. We're having leftovers today, barely, but I am so excited. I hope you like this. You guys, if you are enjoying my videos, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe, and share so people know what we're doing over here. Hit that notification bell so you know when I post a new video. You guys, leave me a comment below, and God bless you. Take care. Bye.